In this world of litigation, in this world of a lot of things available online, where people and patients are questioning onto everything, they feel that they are losing their authoritative power in their own field of medicine.
I don't like the word authority. I don't think doctors should be authoritative. There was a generation of doctors who would literally fly off the handle and be upset if they were questioned. I hope those days are gone forever. Going back to 1992, I frustrate my wife and my staff because they want to get digitized, and I said, no way. I love my card, I love my pen, and I'm going to keep it. I came into obstetrics in 1985. I would have this woman in the OPD, not literate, and suppose I had to do a hysterectomy, I'd make a little diagram and tell her, this is your uterus, and this is what's going to come out, and this is what's going to happen. Choice is not just a word. Choice is something that's an entitlement and a reality. And even today in the modern world, society, the medical fraternity has not lived up to respecting choice more for women than for men. Contraception, pregnancy, abortion. It's very simple and black and white for me.
Welcome back to yet another insightful and exciting episode of our ISAR podcast. So if you are a doctor already, then you must know, and you already must be knowing, that the patients now have changed. They have changed in their attitudes, their behaviors, and their approaches towards doctors and our medical fraternity. And I think with this mammoth information which is available on internet, AI, also on the social media, the gap between this beautiful doctor-patient relationship is widening. To bridge this gap, today we are going to dive in and we are going to have our views from none other than the very famous obstetrician and gynecologist, the celebrity obstetrician and gynecologist, Dr. Nozer Sheriar, sir. And I welcome you, sir. He's my lifetime mentor, and whatever I am today is all because of him.
Thank you, Garima. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's such a warm privilege, and I'm sure, and I can vouch that all your patients and everybody who's going to watch this podcast will tomorrow second that nobody could have done justice to this topic of doctor-patient relationship other than the sir, the pioneer of this branch.
I hope so.
I'm very sure, sir.
And I must say that it's always special to have someone like you having worked with me and seeing all of you all growing up and being so successful and so wonderful in the way you all have evolved is something that really makes everything for me worth it.
And we are still evolving because of you, sir.
Thank you.
And this is for my audience here. Before we get into the real candid conversation, today I want to share one story. And a part of it sir knows and a part of it sir also doesn't know. This dates back to 12 years back when I walked in at 5 p.m. in the evening at Aviva Clinic of Women in Mumbai for the first time as junior assistant. And the whole clinic was packed with patients. Over the next 5 hours, there were emotions. There were emotions of joy of people entering parenthood. There were emotions of crying when people were trying to conceive, while on the other side of the table was a calm, composed, and poised man, Dr. Nozer Sheriar, sir. It was 10 p.m. in that night when he looked up at the clock, smiled at me, and said, Garima, good night. I'll see you tomorrow. I stepped out and I saw another 8 to 10 patients waiting in that waiting area, which meant another 2.5 hours of consultation, conversations. And now this is an honest confession, sir. I didn't sleep that night. I was taken aback. I had never seen such level of care, empathy, and understanding. And honestly, those were the real candid conversations between patients and a doctor. And today, you will all agree towards the end the real meaning of the doctor and patient relationship can only and only be understood by Sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yes, I am overwhelmed, but we, uh, I moved back to the time, sir, almost a decade back. Things were very different. Patients were passive. Um, they used to look upon the doctors, their advice. They used to follow. They were very grateful for the treatments offered and also to the treatments done on them. But now the times have changed. And do you remember any instance or the time when you yourself said, perhaps the time has changed from a passive mindset to a very active, empowered mindset?
Right. So, Garima, I have always encouraged the active mindset.
Yes.
I remember my days in Wadia Hospital. I came into obstetrics in 1985. And I would have this woman in the OPD, not literate. And suppose I had to do a hysterectomy, I'd make a little diagram and tell her, this is your uterus, and this is what's going to come out, and this is what's going to happen. And we tried to get them to participate even then. I still believe our relationship stays intact, but there has to be an evolution with time. Like I can tell you that when I first started practice, women came to the gynecologist obstetrician with women, and today I'm so pleased to say that in my practice, and not just in my practice, even in my hospital practice, they will be accompanied by their husbands and their partners. That's an evolution. There is more partnership. If there's one person I remember 13 years ago, celebrity, now a very, very famous author, and always have complicated pregnancies. That very dear patient and friend started firing PubMed articles at me throughout her pregnancy. Now, PubMed is this library online which doctors referred to, and access to information was just beginning. It wasn't that rampant, it wasn't that easy, it wasn't that touch of a button. But that told me that here is a patient who's not just there with me for the ride, who wants to be part of deciding how that ride will be. Honestly, I believe that we should not be threatened by this. I think for too long did doctors have it easy. They made the decisions. Even today, I'll have a patient who will say, but doc, what would you do if you were in my place? And I will say, but I'm not in your place.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this together. And when we do it together, we both take ownership for successes, and we also take ownerships for defeats and complications together. So that was that one turning point, after which it started becoming more and more common. Back then, I remember giving a talk about the Gen X patient once and how things had changed. And in my research, I found that a woman is more likely to access online health information than a man.
Yes.
And I look after women, thank God. I always say I'm blessed I don't have to look after men in my practice. But that also meant that there was more thinking, more engagement, and it was now my responsibility for respecting that and making it part of my practice.
But people have gone one step ahead. So sometimes they even come with multiple opinions. They will also come with the diagnosis already set in their mind and the treatment planned as per their online research.
Correct.
So how do you tackle such situations?
So first of all, I don't get threatened by it.
Yeah.
Right? The first thing you do is you welcome it. And then you deal with it. So I'll tell them things like, I went to med school for 10 years to get to where I am. And you went online for what? 30 minutes, 1 hour. So I get what you're giving me, and now let's look at it together. A lot of what they come with is not wrong, but a lot of what they come with needs interpretation. And that's where the doctor's skill set comes in. So there can be a doctor who just says, don't even show it to me.
Yeah.
But she's worked hard at it.
Right.
She wants to show it to you. Respect her, glance through it, and then say, now let's have a conversation. Now, you know that in my clinic, I've got cards for each and every patient. Going back to 1992, I frustrate my wife and my staff because they want to get digitized. And I said, no way. I love my card, I love my pen, and I'm going to keep it. And on that, we make a plan together.
Yes.
On that, I write down the options. We discuss each option, but the final option is something we will decide together, which is based on scientific evidence.
Yeah.
And I will actually tell women that, remember, I have no problem with you getting all this stuff, but the influencer doesn't love you. I do.
Wow.
The influencer sees you through an algorithm. The influencer is sending you stuff so that they get maximum number of followers. Now, once you see the information with this understanding, there are great influencers out there and there are not great influencers. You will learn the difference and you will differentiate between them. So my message to patients is, do not stop. Please don't stop doing your research. It's your life, it's your health, it's your body. Please go with your homework done. Even before we had all this information, I would encourage, and I still encourage my patients to come to me with a list of questions. My message to doctors is, please do not brush these things aside. Please do not tell women that what you've done is unimportant and not literate. Please work with them to go through it and then come to your final diagnosis decision. And I can tell you one thing, that there are some areas, I'm increasingly working with a lot of perimenopause. And I love the fact that today care of perimenopause and menopause is more being driven by women, because as a medical profession, we didn't give it the importance it should have been given. And women are now coming forward and telling a doctor, when she goes to a cardiologist with palpitations, could this be my perimenopause? When she goes to a psychiatrist with severe PMS and with depression, doc, could it be my hormones? She goes to the orthopedic surgeon and bone pain. Doc, could it be osteopenia, osteoporosis? And I don't think the doctor should be threatened. Suddenly think, you know what? She might have a point there, and now let me look at it from that point of view.
And sir, I think the most important point over here for the doctors is that address what you said, because the woman feels being heard. So you're not brushing off what her concerns are. But I still feel that since there is so much this mammoth information on the internet, and now with AI also, if you put something on AI, it will give you scientific papers also. Right. It can sometimes be a double-edged sword also. Where to draw that line? Some advice to the patients also when they have to stop their Google research and have to come to the doctor.
So I have this mug of coffee which is always stationed on my table, and it's got this thing written on it. It says, please don't confuse your Google search with my medical degree. That does not mean I'm disrespecting the Google search.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, let's do this together. I had to give an oration many, many years ago. My very dear friend Geeta Arjun in Chennai actually held it for me. And the oration was on what women want. So whenever you do a talk, you always do some background research. And the one thing that came up most, and I must have given this talk maybe 12 years, 13 years ago, was we want a doctor who will listen to us. We want a doctor who will give us time. That was right on top of the list. And sometimes I believe modern medicine has stopped listening to women and patients, which is maybe why alternative medicine is doing so well. They are still listening to them. We are very busy. So we want to rush through things because naturally we also want work-life balance. Well, I'm going to be very blunt here. You want to be a gynecologist, forget work-life balance. All right? It's the best job in the world, but It needs more than 100%. So once a patient comes into your room, she gets all the time she needs, no matter how many people are waiting outside for however long, because she leaves only when she gets what she came for. When you listen to her, she will probably tell you everything. And I sometimes will joke with them. I say, this is great. You gave me the problem and you gave me the solution. And you knew it all along. Now, where would I draw a line? I would draw a line when something is completely not based on science. Though I must say here again, I will put my ego aside, and a lot of time I will not come in the way of a woman who goes for something alternative if it's safe and if I don't have anything better to offer. I will draw a line when it comes to something that's not always sensible. And I'll tell you something quite interesting. So we sit here in our room, and suddenly I know what's trending because 5 patients will come and tell me exactly the same thing. So suddenly everyone will come and say, Doc, how about delayed cord clamping? Like I didn't know about it. Fine. And then recently they said, Doc, can we not clamp the cord at all and leave it? And I say, no, that is my one line I'm going to draw. And then 2 months ago, someone came and talked about, Doc, how about an umbrella placenta? Okay. And then a second patient came and said, Doc, what about an umbrella placenta? Okay. And then I said, I need to understand this. Don't detach the cord, send the baby home with the placenta attached. I mean, that's a line I'm going to draw. All right. So some things you will tell a patient that, listen, this doesn't make sense at all. And I know that you've gotten it somewhere. Well, a few months ago, everyone wanted to eat the placenta. Because suddenly everyone was asking, Doc, can we kind of store it? Can we convert it into pills? And
Pills.
they've obviously read it somewhere. You're not going to do that. Come on. Maybe animals do. So that's where I would probably draw a line. But most of the time, I would give respect. I would give a listen. And then we'd come to some kind of a sensible decision together.
Yeah. So, coming to the doctor fraternity, dealing with the same situation, there are a lot of doctors who now find it that in this world of literacy, in this world of a lot of things available online, where people and patients are questioning on to everything, literally counter questioning on anything you say, anything you want to perform, they feel that they are losing their authoritative power in their own field of medicine. Do you see this
I don't
as,
like the word
yeah,
authority.
Yeah,
I don't think doctors should be
authoritative.
Mahatma Gandhi said, that patient is doing you a favor by coming to you. You are not doing her a favor by looking after her.
Yeah.
Right? So when she comes to you, please understand that you are being respected and you have to give back respect. So first of all, let's get authority out of the way. Yes, you have the knowledge, you have the skill sets, and you also have a responsibility of conveying this to the patient in a very kind way. There was a generation of doctors who would literally fly off the handle and be upset if they were questioned. I hope those days have gone forever. And I will go one step beyond and say that when my patients come to me, I will instigate them and say, every doctor you go with your questions and get all your issues sorted out. And if you don't get what you want, for God's sake, find someone who will do it for you.
Yeah.
So I'll literally go and tell them that it's not just with me, you have to do this everywhere. So let's put authority aside. I think what we probably need to do is something that we missed out and something we are not normally educated for: communication.
Yes.
Communication skills, and if you're communicating well with your patients, all the work that you do and the scientific facts, women are smart. Patients are smart. They will understand what's good for them. We are gynecologists, right?
Yeah.
We work with women. Choice is not just a word. Choice is something that's an entitlement and a reality. And even today in the modern world, society, the medical fraternity has not lived up to respecting choice more for women than for men.
Yes.
Even today, for a woman, a lot of decisions are made for her. And for me, that's where my role is. I'm her doctor. I'm not doctor to her family. I have to be her confidant. I say I have to be her co-conspirator sometimes. Right? So we have to give her that respect. And my philosophy is very simple. In a woman's life, if she wants it, I want it. If you look at it from the lens of reproductive health, contraception, pregnancy, abortion, it's very simple and black and white for me. You want it, I'm with you. I'll fight for you. You don't want it, I'm with you. I'll make sure it doesn't happen. And sometimes this also has to be done confidentially, alone, when you're with your patient, without this whole troop of people who are with her.
Yes.
More so when you're dealing with a young person.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with a young woman, an unmarried woman who's come with maybe a mother, or you've come with a family where this girl obviously doesn't much of a say, mother-in-law, and then you got to use your skills and your communication to bring the other people onto her side. And it's possible.
Yes.
It's possible. If a patient says, Doc, they want me to go for a family wedding and I really don't want to go, and she's pregnant, I will say, she can't travel, she's pregnant. And if she says, I really want to go for this holiday with my friends, but the family won't let me, and I'll say, why should she not travel? She's only pregnant. So that's where it's a lot more than medicine. You just got to be there for.
Sir, I mean, you have genuinely been one kind human being. I would always say that first. For a lot of young doctors, they are evolving and helping in establishing better communication skills with the patients. But the problem is now that patients are also losing patients and they don't value patients. So sometimes with the young doctors, the problem comes if you overdo, if you over-explain, probably you have no work. If you underdo and you don't talk to your patient, you are a money minter. So for our young budding doctors who don't have voluminous practice and they still want to develop that confidence, they are doing it in a good will. What is that thin line between excess and absolutely little information to your patients?
So I was a young budding doctor.
Yeah.
In the first month of my practice, I saw 2 patients. If you give your patient your all, I promise you, your patient will be your best brand ambassador. So I won't draw a line. When is too much? Well, that's where you probably have to be smart and judicious. You also have to be extremely conservative. When you're a young doctor, obviously you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
And sometimes you are dying to have a theatre list and operate. It's the patient on which you don't operate, if you can do without surgery, who's going to stay with you and bring over to you her family and her friends. Will you lose patients? Of course you will. When you're a young doctor, it's sometimes going to be extremely frustrating when your patient goes to someone else, probably a more senior person who just jumps in and does something which you say, but I should have done that. Why didn't I? Trust me, that patient is someday going to appreciate what you said and did and going to be back with you.
Wow.
So I believe in the extreme. I believe there's no limit to what you can do and what you should do your patient. And believe me, when you're a young doctor with a lot of time, please give your patient more time. The payback will be just magnificent with time.
So now I'm going to deep dive into some real-time scenarios. And this is something the golden hour for you now, because each of these cases have actually been dealt by Sir. So sir, now there's a very common time when we have a Gen Z coming with all teenage problems and an agonizing mom in her perimenopause. How do you settle both? Bridge the gap between the mother and the daughter, because I think evolving years, a girl needs her mother, while she's also dealing the child also needs to understand that the mother is going through her menopause.
Yeah.
So I think a doctor can do wonders here,
Absolutely.
bridging this particular two sets.
Absolutely. So, firstly, it depends upon who your patient is. So if the young girl's being brought to me as a patient, then at that point in time, there is no conflict. She is my patient. I would try and find those few minutes when I can confidentially speak with her and find out what she really has come to me for. So when you're doing a simple, just a general blood pressure, weight, abdominal examination, I might just whisper and ask her, are you sexually active? Which I can't ask her in front of a mother. And believe me, a lot of them will be comfortable telling you about this in confidence. And then I got to help her deal with it and talk to her about contraception. When I'm dealing with the mother who comes with a young daughter who's struggling with the perimenopause, I've always told women that you have protected your family from what's happening to you for too long. Women try to just carry everything, the weight of the world on their shoulders. Stop doing it. Sit down. Let your teenage son and daughter and your husband be there and say, listen, I'm at a phase in my life and I'm going through some changes, and this is when I'm going to need your understanding and support. You have unconditionally given this to your family forever. It's time for them to give back a little bit to you. When they are both in front of you, you listen to both of them and let's find a middle road. Let both of them speak and let both of them understand each other. At the end of it, both of them are going through exactly the same thing, hormonal changes.
And then, sir, you truly are a masses doctor. I mean, you see everyone with the same love, affection, and care. But I still want to ask you, when it comes to dealing with your celebrity patients, how different it is.
So one of my patients once comes into my room and says, Doc, you deal with so many celebrities, but when I come into your room, you make me feel like a celebrity. I said, but you are a celebrity in my room. The first thing you do is you don't treat any patient different. Nobody gets treated differently. I will go one step further and sometimes tell one of my celebrity patients, I'm going to treat you like everyone else. And if I really want to make a point, I'll say, I'm going to treat you like my general ward patient in one of my hospitals.
And how do
The
they react?
moment, they react very well. They react extremely well. This myth about celebrities being difficult is a myth. They are great. They are respectful. They are understanding. I do appreciate that sometimes you have to respect certain things, like for them to be in a room full of people with cameras today, which wasn't there 15 years ago, is not easy. Many of them are comfortable with it. Some of them find it difficult. One thing I will never do is allow someone to walk past my other patients. Whoever you are, you may be a doctor, you may be a celebrity, you may be a family member. When a patient's been waiting for you sometimes for a very long time, the last thing they want is to see someone walking past them. So then you try and be judicious and call them first or last. But the important thing is they are treated like anybody else. So this so-called VIP syndrome, where you overtreat or undertreat someone based upon who they are, will not happen if you treat everyone the same. And I can just tell you here that some of my most complicated pregnancies have been in some very important people. And I believe we got through because we just treated them like anybody else. You just got to hold your nerve and say, what would I do with anyone else? And that's exactly the same thing I'm going to do here.
And I have witnessed that, Shireen's pregnancy. And I remember one of those days Shireen is Sir's daughter. She was pregnant with twins and she came for her regular visit. No matter whosoever came, Sir first saw all the patients, and then by the time he reached Shireen to the room to examine Shireen, she was deep asleep. I still remember that. Dad, made me wait for so long.
Right.
So this is something, a mantra for all of you, that treat everyone equally, and really that helps a lot to avoid all those so-called VIP syndromes.
I have patients who come and told me, and again, like I said, listen, that they had experiences sometimes where they went to a clinic and they were waiting, and someone happened to come, and the doctor came out of the room, took the patient in, escorted the patient to the door. This is just another patient, no matter what their background is. When she is there with you, she's just like anyone else. The treatment is the same, the surgeries, the delivery are the same. You bleed just like anyone else and you get stitched up just like anyone else. So why should you be treated any differently?
So, this is a lot of women, and I have heard it in person also as a doctor, as any other woman, that if I have to deliver through a normal route, I will go and deliver with Dr. Nozer. This is for the doctors, sir.
Yeah.
How do you maintain so much of patience? Because you literally handhold the women throughout their labor in building up their confidence. And there's so many times that even women withdraw, but I have seen you encouraging them that you will deliver normally.
Okay. So let's say vaginally.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know the fraternity today is looking at nomenclature, and we are not talking about normal and abnormal, we are saying vaginal and abdominal. I've always believed that's how it was meant to be.
Right.
Maybe it started with my training at Wadia Hospital. I thank every day of my training in that hospital, with the giants of obstetrics being our teachers, to make me what I am. A lot of people say women want cesareans. I do not agree with them at all. If a woman wants a cesarean, I'll tell her, fine, we'll have a discussion, and I will respect. Choice works both ways, and I will respect her and do a cesarean on request. But for a majority of women, there are concerns and fears which make them believe that the cesarean is the easy way out. So throughout pregnancy, we prepare for vaginal birth. I mean, it's a no-brainer when patients ask me, can I have a vaginal birth? I say, why are we even talking about it? That's how nature meant it to be. You prepare for it like you'd prepare for a marathon. Nobody gets up one January morning and says, I'm going to run the Mumbai Marathon. You start preparing many months in advance, and that's what we do together. So in our practice, we follow a very checklist protocol, which every woman has to go through. Diet is a part of every antenatal patient's care. It's compulsory. We actually practice something called as restricted weight gain, where I have patients who have gone through entire pregnancies with zero weight gain, or actually having lost even 8 and 10 kilos. And we come to a point towards the end of pregnancy where we actually prepare for childbirth. Uh, a birthing class helps, because better informed patients are more able to cope with stuff. We, for the last 9 years, and I know when I say this, my Indian colleagues say, how is that possible? I too was taught to give an episiotomy to every patient. And then 9 years ago, I had an epiphany, and I said, if the evidence says I shouldn't, why am I doing it? And today I deliver 85% of my patients without an episiotomy, but my patients help by doing a perineal massage in the last 1 month, which we train them for. I believe how the patient delivers shouldn't matter. And here I'm going to step a little bit. I know some of my colleagues don't appreciate this, but I've always said I shouldn't benefit from how I deliver a patient. So for the last 30 years, as a doctor, I have a maternity charge, which is the same whether you deliver normally or you do a C-section. And I honestly believe at some time the profession is going to have to come around to this. Nobody should accuse us of doing C-sections because of this. When you do all this and you have a well-prepared patient, then you can definitely hope for more vaginal birth. That's where patience comes in.
Yes.
That's where pain relief comes in. I'm a big fan of epidural.
Durals.
I'm a big fan of pain relief in labor. I am a major user of instrumental delivery to make more
Yes.
vaginal birth possible,
Yes.
including a forceps. For me, one of the most important indications for a forceps is a face to pubis delivery, where otherwise I would have landed up with a C section. And I still do it all the time. If I have the slightest doubt, I take my patient into the OT and I will deliver her normally, but with a standby of a C section. So we are all trained to do it. We are trained obstetricians. This is where the maximum satisfaction comes through the satisfaction of having delivered a baby vaginally. The woman goes back to her room, she sits up, she eats something, she gets out of bed, and she
Right.
goes for a shower. Now, I know it may sound very strange. I remember having a patient who came to me at my OPD at Holy Family Hospital. She had come from Ulhasnagar, and I said, "Why have you come all the way from Ulhasnagar to deliver with me?" And she said, very sweetly, "Doctor, हमने सुना है आप normal delivery
Delivery
के
करते हो।
specialist हो." And I laughed and I said, "You know, हमें cesarean section भी करना आता है." But you know, when a patient starts talking like this, I believe the profession has to have a wake-up call.
Yes.
Let's not justify what we are doing. I deliver my IVF pregnancies vaginally, at least 40% of them for sure. I never do a C-section for a cord round the neck. So it's time that as a profession we started introspecting and doing things. And trust me, when that patient goes through this most magical moment in human existence, she's going to bless you for a life. That's not to say you can't make a great experience of a C-section. Okay? So a C-section can be equally joyful. And I read an article 10 years ago when they talked about a gentle C-section being done in the US. Trust me, we've been doing it for 25 years. I do not have a curtain between me and my patient. I've got music playing in the room. The husband is always there, and we do a photo shoot at the end of it. So it's the joy that you bring into birth, whether it's vaginal or a C-section. And by the way, I've had husbands in the room for decades now. And I'm not just talking about my private practice in my corporate hospitals.
Right.
I have a general ward patient delivering with me in Holy Family Hospital. Her husband is in the room for a vaginal birth and a cesarean section as well.
Wow.
That's how much equality you should have. Why do I do it? Why should he miss out on this most magical moment? And more importantly, when men see their wives giving birth, trust me, they're going to value her more. They're going to be more sensitive to her. They're going to look at her differently.
You truly are a torchbearer for women and their health. And so, but I still feel that, there's so much to learn from you. But the kids who are entering into this field of medical education, we're still miles away from training them about the behavioral and the communication skills. What is the way forward for these kids to learn? Or is it learning by experience?
So, firstly, unfortunately, it's been too much Russian roulette.
Yeah.
If you are lucky to have the right teacher and a role model, you'll probably learn all these things very quickly. And all of us, there are plenty of people out there who are great role models.
Yeah.
I've always believed that there are two types of teachers. Ones you will learn from, and others you learn from what not to do. Where we are changing is now we are looking at the Western way of education, and we are bringing some of these subjects into undergraduate and postgraduate training, and I think it's great. Maybe we are not doing it well enough because, like everything we do, the intention is there, and suddenly we just mess it up. So it becomes you can't do an exam paper on communication skills.
Intention to execution is a little different.
But I can tell you, we've been trying to do this for years. And I go back to a time when one of my dearest friends, Suchitra Pandit, was a committee chair. And back then, and I'm talking about maybe 15, 18 years ago, we started doing communication skills workshops, which were extremely popular. It doesn't take time to communicate. So I do an OPD at a hospital once a week where I may not be able to give too much time to my patients. But whatever time you give, let it be quality. So when we talk about doctor-patient relationships, I believe it's still very secure. I believe we are still respected, but more accountable. And both these things can coexist. Accountability with still maintaining this relationship. Let's not have this. All of us have had an experience. I'm sure every doctor today is going to sometime face some litigation.
Yes.
Do not let this change the way you look after your other patients, because that's what's going to hold you in good stead.
Yeah, very true. So this also reminds me that we as doctors, we do a lot for our fraternity also, especially by writing books. But you took one step ahead and you wrote a book for your society, for your community, for every woman out there. And I'm talking about a beautiful book which all of you should go and read, which is Finding Your Balance, a 360-degree guide to perimenopause and beyond. And I want to understand literally what was going in your mind when this idea came in. How did it evolve? How did it change your practice? Or you think it actually opened up a new Pandora of more questions coming?
Yeah. So, we do medical books. I remember with Dr. Usha Krishna, I was series editor for a series of 10 monograms called Obstetrics and Gynecology in Perspective. So, to date, I must have edited about 16 books for the fraternity. Now, the credit for this goes to a very dear friend. She was my patient. A lot of my patients become friends, really personal friends. She takes an appointment. Her name is Shonali Sabarwal. She's a macrobiotic specialist. She actually takes an appointment and tells my staff, I want to be the last patient in the day. She walks into my clinic and said, today I haven't come to consult you. I've come with a request. Can we do a book together? I said yes. I don't know why I said yes. And I think she must regret asking me that question. I was already doing a lot of work with perimenopause and menopause for maybe 15 years. I've always been someone who's believed that women need care and treatment at this special time. I've always been a user of hormone replacement therapy. We now call it menopause hormone therapy. So it was something I was already doing. Of course, we do a scan or a literature search. Whenever I do anything, I'm a person who does lists, and I always say a little bit of OCD helps everyone. So we said, let's look at what's there. There was nothing. There was nothing in India that talked to women about this. There were books overseas which were available, which were very, one directional. They were either anti-modern medicine, hormones are bad, or they were like hormones, hormones, hormones. We were talking about menopause. Nobody said the word perimenopause. Then when I said this is too restrictive, so we said perimenopause. We started working. I have a busy life. At that time, I was the chair of the World Congress. I was privileged that Dr. C.N. Purandare had me as a scientific chair at FIGO in Rio. I believe I'm the only Indian to hold that position.
Yes.
We were three presidents of FIGO, but the only Indian to hold that position as scientific chair. So I was involved. The book took 4 years. It took a pandemic to give me some time to complete it. Every word, every diagram I did, Shonali and Ben sat and wrote. And we made a very holistic kind of a gift for women. The original title was Perimenopausal Solution. Penguin, our editor, said no medical name. So we sat and brainstormed one day and said, what happens to women at that time? They lose their balance. So it's Finding Your Balance, your 360-degree guide to perimenopause. And we got a few friends to read it, very dear friends. One of them was Dr. Azmi Bharucha. She is a menopause specialist in UK. So what about after that? So it became Perimenopause and Beyond. Many other friends read it. One very dear friend was Namita Thapar, made some great suggestions. They are all in that book. And then the book came out. We've just crossed 10,000 sales, which kind of makes it a bestseller. But still, it hasn't gone to as many women as I'd like it to. It's holistic. I joke with Shonali that our book is like Ayurveda meets modern medicine. Shonali writes about Pitta, and I write about hormone therapy. 11 chapters on clinical situations. When we first weren't going to do so many, I said, Shonali, nobody is going to read the whole book. Some people will.
Yeah.
There are some people who binge watch, but most people will just go and see an episode. So each chapter is a condition. So in each chapter, we repeat lifestyle, diet, and the medical care. The medical care is 100% evidence-based. And here I must give great credit to an organization like IMS, both the International and the Indian Menopause Society. It's based on their guidelines. I remember doing a talk with a pharmaceutical company's staff once, and a woman once told me, she stood up and said, I have a great gynecologist. I love him. He delivered my babies. But when I went to him with my problems, he stood up, shut my file and said, dear, you'll have to just put up with this for the next 4 or 5 years. That's where I want women to be taking charge. Yeah. That's where I want women to educate themselves. I want you to go prepared and ask your doctor questions and say, I have this symptom. Could it be my perimenopause? Do you think hormone therapy will help me? What do you think about supplements? What kind of exercises do you think I should do? And start making doctors more involved with this kind of care.
And you will all be very surprised when Sir said that he has given these small talks and sometimes alone, and he has been interviewed by some of the very famous people like Luke, Masaba Gupta, Namita Thapar. But Sir is not on social media. And I know this conversation can just keep going, but as we draw towards our nearing remarks, I want to bring in one very powerful statement Sir said in one of our conversation with Masaba. Myths, they come from traditions and internet. And I have no problem with either, because women should ask. Once more, Sir, before we close this chapter today, I want to hear this dialogue from your end, because that's the take-home message for every woman watching out there, for every doctor, and for anybody who's into a service industry, to be patient.
Yes. So first of all, I had a patient of mine. Her husband was an airline pilot. And here we are in delivery room, and like he says at the end of it, why were you so calm? I mean, like what? I wanted things to happen. And you were really taking your time. And I said, what do you do when you are in the cockpit where there's turbulence? You don't show it, right? Yeah. That's not to say that you don't know what's happening, but you have to project calm. You have to project patience. We work with something nature has perfected over hundreds of thousands of years, and we have to allow nature to do its own stuff. Now, over the years, people picked up a lot of knowledge, some of it right and some of it wrong. Like I said again, for us, we are not here to mock or disrespect, but we are here to nudge people in the right direction, and we have to carry people with us. I'll tell you two very simple things. I deliver a patient, and I know in this country she's not going to be allowed to step out for 40 days. Recipe for depression and postpartum blues. I know that she's going to be fed all kinds of crazy stuff because a mother and a grandmother ate all that stuff.
That's right.
Now I have to deal with it, right? What do? Enlist the help of the people who would otherwise propagate this myth. So the husband is given the responsibility of saying that you're going to stand up to your mother and your mother-in-law and make sure my patient gets to get out of the house 1 hour every day. It's like, in prison you get out for good behavior. Trust me, today modern women are struggling more with blues and depression than they ever did before.
Yes.
Just because the previous generation could sit at home for 40 days, the modern woman cannot.
Sit.
And if nobody else in the world does it, why should she? Being fed, and you know what, the ghee and the laddus are always waiting. I want her to lose weight, and I will tell them, my patients today will not tolerate it, they'll have indigestion. And then to sweeten it for the mother and the mother-in-law, I'll say, you all worked so hard. Your lives were so physical. These women today are doing nothing. She doesn't go to the kitchen. She's not grinding. She's not washing. And they like nod and say, Doc, you're so right. So what you ate, she can't eat. So that's how you kind of have to get through and break through. So don't take the myths, don't brush them aside, flip them over. When it comes to other information, like I said, it's there. Accept it. It's there. What can we do as doctors? We can put out authentic information. But if I put out information, and yes, I'm not on social media, but we do have this one Instagram handle with the book. I mean, I'll have 4,000 followers, and a celebrity will have 4 million.
And so, for our young budding doctors who are now going to step into this field of especially a private practice if they choose to, one golden mantra rule of a patient care and empathy that you would want our young doctors to follow?
The only mantra is I wrote an article in the MOGS bulletin when I was secretary to Rishikesh Pai. That the article was titled, I have the best job in the world. I am not exaggerating. I truly believe it. My one message to the people who branched out into fertility, why I think obstetrics is where the magic is be honest. Women and men have tremendous capacity to accept the truth. If you're honest with them, they will hang on with hope long enough. So I don't do IVF, but I send my patients for IVF to some very dear friends who do great work. Karima, you do great work. But I prep them. Yes. And I say, the best IVF cycle in the world won't give you a better than 35% success. Yeah. When you tell her it's 30% and it happens, she'll say, I knew it was 30%. I'll go for the next one. When someone comes and tells me my IUI failed or my IVF failed, I said, you didn't fail. It did not succeed.
So true.
It's like a CA examination. Everyone's a great candidate, but that damn board has decided that we will pass only 15%. Yeah. The remaining 85% aren't bad students. So if you aren't in the 35%, you'll be in the next 35 or the following 35. So we need to give people hope. They need to know that my doctors, they are having my back. I mean, we haven't even started on talking about contraception and safe abortion, which is my passion, because I feel a society which gives women that choice is the society that has arrived. And it's shocking that most societies haven't today. Yeah. It's shocking that when it comes to having an abortion, a woman is still given a tough time when in a country like ours, you have 27 million births and 18 million abortions every year. You celebrate the births and you make the woman having the abortion feel terrible. Instead of telling her, listen, it's the most natural thing in your life. Okay, don't worry. Let's move on. No woman ever does it casually or lightly. You've done it because you've thought it out, and I'm there to support it. We also have the responsibility for public health. I mean, it's shocking that today women still die during pregnancy. And Mohammad Fatala, one of the greatest presidents of FIGO, I call him our gynec philosopher, said that women are not dying because of diseases we cannot treat. They are dying because society still has to decide that they are worth saving. My message to young people today is, you are today advocates. You are champions. You're not just doctors. Start speaking up. There's a lovely quote by Anasuya Sen-Gupta. She's a poetess. Please look her up. Hillary Clinton had quoted it once. She said, too many women in too many countries speak the same language of silence. That's where we as gynecologists and obstetricians have a role. We have to speak for them.
And I think, yes, we owe it to women for their health and to improve the quality of life. We are not here for disease cure. we are here for prevention. I mean, I am totally overwhelmed with this candid conversation, and I'm sure at least I am going to listen to this podcast again and again, because each and every word put out by you is a lifelong learning lesson for me and millions of viewers who are going to watch this. I am so grateful to have you, sir, here
Thank you,
for
Garima.
such a candid conversation.
Thank you.
And to all our viewers, please stay tuned for yet another insightful and exciting episode on the ISAR podcast. We will be getting back with one more episode soon.
So I have to say thank you to ISAR. But more than anything, to my friend Dr. Amit Patki. Amit is one of my dearest friends. Amit is someone who allows me to do stuff I do because he's my backup in
Yes.
my practice. But more than anything, I can never say no to Amit. If he asks me, he throws challenges to me sometimes, makes me prepare topics which are difficult. But Amit, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Garima, it's been such a privilege interacting with you always.
Thank you so much, sir.
And the couple got a child, that joy on their faces. I think that's where I decided that I want to help these couples, because you're making a difference to their lives. Contraception was a big thing, and here I wanted to go into opposite field of contraception.
Imagine you're a 14, 15-year-old entering a lab. For me, that was technology. And I'm like, okay, I'm floored by this. This is what I want to do. Most important thing she told me was, listen, just work hard and love what you do.